Michigan just took a hit on the recruiting trail, but here's the twist. They might be gaining even more momentum. We're breaking down the key decommit, why it's not panic time, and 3 recruits that Michigan is suddenly trending for. Plus, the Big Ten versus the SEC draft battle just flipped the narrative, and a hometown star is heading to the NFL. So let's get into it here on Wolverines Daily. It's the reality of recruiting. Sometimes it's not all about the wins. And right now for Michigan football, it's a little bit about one step forward and one step back. For the first time in the Whittingham era, Michigan has lost a commitment he brought in himself. 4-star safety Darrell Madison, one of the first pieces of that 2027 class, has officially backed off his pledge. And here's what makes this one interesting. This wasn't some long-time commit drifting away over months. This happened really fast. Committed in late March, back on campus for the spring game, and now just weeks later, he's reopened up his recruitment. That's the modern world we live in right now of recruiting. Nothing is locked in. Nothing is ever guaranteed. But now the big picture. Should Michigan fans panic? Some may say yes. I'm going to say the answer to that is no. When a new staff comes in, relationships shift, priorities adjust, recruits reassess. That's part of the recruiting battle. Here's the key for Michigan. They still have 5 commits in the class, including some important pieces like quarterback Camden Lopati and edge rusher Ricardo Kitchen. So the foundation is there. The foundation is being set, but this does highlight a challenge that Whittingham is facing. He's not just building a class, he's building relationships, he's reestablishing key trust, he's selling a new vision, all at the same time. And in today's world, that takes time. Now, could Michigan get back in the mix for Madison down the road? Absolutely. Decommit doesn't always mean goodbye. It just means the recruitment is back open, and you never know if he can come back around to Michigan. So here's the bottom line. Yes, it's a loss, but it's also part of the process. And Michigan responds from here. That's what really matters, because in recruiting, momentum isn't just about one commit. It's about what comes next for the Wolverines on the recruiting trail. And after a little early movement this spring, Michigan recruiting is starting to heat up again, and this is where things get really interesting. Right now, Michigan football is trending for multiple 2027 targets, and it's not just the fringe guys. We're talking about real pieces that could shape this class and really give us the momentum we need heading into that 2027 class and beyond. And I want to start with 4-star running back Tyson Robinson. This would be a really big one for the Wolverines. Traditionally, Michigan hasn't really went into the state of Mississippi well, but that might be changing. Multiple predictions right now have Robinson landing in Ann Arbor, but that might be changing relatively soon. Multiple predictions have said there's a good chance he ends up in Ann Arbor. He's set to announce his decision relatively soon, and that means his recruitment is starting to close. If Michigan can pull this off, it's not just about added talent back. It's about expanding their footprint into a region that they don't usually go into and they usually don't dominate. Now, let's stay in state with athlete London Hampton. This one feels like a little momentum starting to pick up. Michigan State was once seen as the favorite, but now Michigan is trending as the new favorite. And when you can keep an in-state talent home, especially a versatile athlete who can play multiple roles, that's a win for this class. It's a win for this program. Now, the headliner for this class, real simple. Offensive tackle, Jakari Lipsey, a big-time prospect, top 100 talent. He's got elite size. He's a multi-sport athlete, and this is exactly the type of player you build your offensive line around. And pairing him with guys that already have committed, like Louis Esposito, Sidney Rolu, now you're building something up front. And I think here's the bigger picture for me. Official visits are right around the corner, and that's when things really start to take off, and that's really where we see the momentum turn into commitment. So yes, Michigan lost a key piece recently, but now they're trending again. And in recruiting, it's not about one moment, it's about momentum. And right now, Michigan is starting to build that momentum yet again. And the conversation over the NFL draft, the whole thing about dominance in the conference, because for the first time in nearly a decade, and I talked about this early in the week on the podcast, the Big Ten Conference beat out the SEC where it matters most, and that's early in the draft. 10 first-round picks for the Big Ten, 7 for the SEC. I think that's a statement. Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, back-to-back-to-back national championships. Right now, the pendulum is moving towards the Big Ten. Now, it's the first time since 2015 that the SEC didn't own the first round, and it reflects something we've been saying on the field too. National titles, elite programs, and now top-end NFL talent coming out of the Big Ten. But here's where the story flips a little bit. Because while the Big Ten might have won the spotlight early, the SEC owned the depth of this draft. 87 total draft picks. Let me say that again. 87 total draft picks from the SEC. That's just not leading the field. That's dominating it. Compared to 67 from the Big Ten, it shows the difference between the top heavy and the depth that the SEC is having. And that's been the calling card for years, has been people will say the Big Ten is top heavy, the SEC's got more depth, and it showed that in this past year's draft. Now, zoom out and you see the bigger picture here. The Big Ten is rising, no question. More first rounders, more top end talent, more programs competing at the highest level. But the SEC, still the gold standard, I think, when it comes to the pipeline and depth. And that's why this debate is not settled yet. It's evolving. Because if the Big Ten can keep stacking elite talent at the top and start closing that depth gap, then we're talking about a shift from Big Ten, SEC, back to the Big Ten. We're talking about a takeover in the Big Ten. I got to give a shout out. This is a feel-good story for me, and this is what it's all about. A hometown kid from where I'm from here, upstate New York, near Utica, New York. Long journey, and the dream became reality for Utica, New York native Mike Washington Jr., officially headed to the NFL. He was selected in the 4th round by the Las Vegas Raiders at pick 122. And if you listen to him talk, you already know this is just the beginning. He said it himself, and I'm going to quote, "I didn't make it. The job is not finished." And that mindset, that's why he's here. Because it wasn't a straight path for Mike. Washington didn't come out as a 5-star, can't miss prospect. He didn't take the easy road. He bounced between programs, Buffalo, New Mexico State, and finally this past year, he went to Arkansas. And when he got his shot, he absolutely delivered for Arkansas. Over 1,000 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns, 6 yards per carry in the SEC. Not production, that's proof. And then he backed it up even more at the Senior Bowl. He stood out. The combine, he was impressive. Scouts took notice. They saw speed, explosiveness, the ability to run inside and outside. A guy who can hit the home run. He can run between the tackles. And for me, here's the bigger picture. This is bigger than just one player. This is about Utica, New York, the Mohawk Valley. Again, I'm from upstate New York, so this really hit home. This kid's a role model for all the little kids that come from nothing, who made himself into something through hard work, and that's the Mohawk Valley. He's the first player with ties to the area being drafted since 2004. I think it's a huge impact, huge inspiration from the local fields to the NFL stage, and I think the story for this kid is not done. I think he's chasing greatness. I think he's chasing a legacy. He's chasing a Super Bowl. And if the journey hasn't showed us anything, don't bet against Mike Washington Jr. Congratulations, Mike, from all of us here across the Mohawk Valley. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Wolverines Daily. We are just 129 days away from kickoff, and every day we're getting one step closer. More recruiting, more breakdowns, more Michigan football every single day. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm Coach Little C, and remember, stay locked in, stay blue, and go blue. Let's go Michigan.